Take 3. Alright, we're on week 3 of the 1/1000 scale Enterprise D Galaxy class starship. This video is going to go through finishing up the armature, working on the pylons, getting that portion of the armature bent, get the wires run up through it, the risky business of actually cutting the resin and JB welding it together, and start on the nacelles a little bit. Got a little bit of fit going on there. Got a little more finicky, picky stuff on the neck. I did glue the neck to the lower, to the upper section of the secondary hull. So I started that, and then the top piece is now screwed to the armature, or the plexi portion of the armature. So yeah, busy week. Worked on the Enterprise for 5 days. Today would be 6 days. Went out on Saturday out to the Seattle Model Show. Took a few models, got a couple prizes. Took a young man with me who just got into the hobby. His name is Jacob. Got a second place, first time out, which is awesome. So great to see him excited. So good job on him. I hope he enjoys the hobby for a long, long time. So it's important to get young people into this hobby. A lot of kids playing video games right now. A lot of kids doing stuff they're not supposed to. There are a lot worse things to do than build plastic models. So I'll go ahead and cut this and show you the progress. All right, welcome back to the shop. It's Monday. I got all this JB welded last night. Got it ground out. It's a lot stiffer now. Still trying to figure out if I can router that hole so I can have it go deeper and be a little more stable than this. I'll work on that. But that is ready. Whoop, that is ready. Thought I'd do a walk around instead of a really far away view. This is my first attempt at trying to gloss coat this. I used a spray can, and I don't like the way it came out. So I'm going to strip it down with lacquer and run it through the airbrush. This is my upper part of the secondary hull. There's the spot where I went through. By the time you're done lighting it and everything, you'll never notice. I have thinned these parts a lot. These are a lot thinner than what they came. It had a weird funky step, which in retrospect I probably should have left there, because I'm going to end up probably epoxying a block in here for this to screw to. Come on, cooperate. So this will go here, glued. That's upside down, Jason. That will go there, glued. There'll be a little tab at the back of this. And then, I know my camera skills suck, but whatever. That'll slot in, and then I'll screw it down. And then if I need to access the lighting, I can. I will build this as you saw it in the video. This panel off and the top off. Build all of this, paint it all in one. I would love it if I could leave the nacelles off and plop them on later. That would be great. I haven't worked that out yet. That's my plan. Anybody else who has this kit knows how thick this is. See, you can't even, there's so much epoxy in here. I have ground down a lot of thickness. I've gotten that down really thin, that down really thin. The kit comes with just a really crappy hole in here that you have to cut out. And then as you see, I've got 2 hooks on this, and then I just put these in for alignment. And I've been working on grinding this so they're nice and good. And that should fit really good. It's going to kind of force it up. And I would love it if it was removable, but I think I'm just going to have to epoxy it and then rescribe the line. I'll tape. What I'll end up doing is probably masking off this whole area, mask back a little bit here so I don't damage any of the detail, and then epoxy it from the top in spots with the armature screw to it. Sorry, my dad came in and wanted to chit chat. So anyway, I was talking about how I'm going to get this glued, and I'll glue it to the armature, and then, or it's not glue it to the armature, screw it to the armature, flip it over, kind of tack it in where I need to in a couple spots, just so it stays, let it sit overnight, and then take the armature off and goop the snot out of it on the inside, and then mask this off and do the outside anyway. So that'll be that, and then I'll glue that to this, and hopefully have this whole rear section figured out with this. And yeah, I got lots to do. I made the decision today, the way that this screws to this, which it goes this way. So this panel screws to this, which is basically my imitation of an armature, and it keeps everything flat and level. I am going to then, unlike the original, I have lifeboats marked on the top that will coincide on here, and then I'm going to try and screw this down to that. So I got to get that all aligned, fill in the holes that I'm not going to use, which is no big deal because lifeboats go over top of them anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. And then essentially I can pre-fit everything to the point where it screws together. And then I will end up gluing this armature inside this complete, but probably not until after I have blacked out the inside of this. So I'm getting there. So big things this week. Fit this and probably glue it. Eek. Fit this so it's screw on and off. Get this cleaned up and get it so it screws and mounts to that. And the big thing is I got to somehow tape together these pylons that are kind of a joke and make a wood template somehow that I can flip this fucker upside down. Flip this upside down and just bend these the way they need to be bent. And they do bend pretty good. They're aluminum, but I want as close of a bend as possible. This is thinner, obviously, than this. And then once I get this bent, I'm going to do the big risk, which I will set up some kind of piece of wood or something where I screw these down in four corners. This is all going to end up, this whole piece is going to end up being puttied and sanded and flattened, and no detail is going to be left on it when it's done. I've molded these, so that's not a big deal. This I'm not really actually fond of, this raised detail. I think it looks kind of stupid. It was not like that on the original anyway, so this I have the tape. Oh, I don't think I showed you that. This I have this already done from my Cameo. So I've got that detail I'll add on later. The phasers I'll add on later. So this whole thing's going to end up being sanded. So anyway, I was saying, so I will somehow bolt these down to flat spots And then I will have them marked out on that piece of wood. And then I'm going to cut, I keep going off track, cut a channel in here for the bar and for wiring. Screw the two sections, because this will be this skinny section and this fatter section will be left. Screw those sections down back to my template board. And then basically try and assemble the whole thing. Epoxy back over it. And get it all nice and flat and flush and lined up. And it's kind of nerve-wracking, but this is a really... I don't want to insult anybody. Just a shitty way to do this, in my opinion. So, anyway, would have been great if it was two pieces. Yes, it would have been thin, but could have been laid up in fiberglass. Or at least mold it with a bigger friggin' channel in it. Hello? Who's going to get wiring through that? I don't want to use magnet wire. That's not reliable. So, anyway. That's where I'm at. Stay tuned for tomorrow. So it's Tuesday. Last night, before I shut it down, I screwed these pylons to the table so that I can cut out this section. I'm going to cut the entire section out. These are pretty straight, left to right. Seem to actually fit pretty good, even though this is really kind of hokey. The plan is to cut that out, bend my aluminum so it goes up into the nacelle and holds that sucker nice and tight. And then I'll screw the pieces individually back to the table. So this will be my guide. And then I will I may have to cut some of this out. I don't know. We'll find out. Anyway, I'll figure that out. Put my armature in here. Maybe tack it in with a little bit of crazy glue. And then put all this on. Screw it on to the point where it's center here with this hole that goes center on the armature, so I know from here back I'm straight. and then epoxy this. Epoxy this, try and stay away from the detail. There's really only a couple lines here that I have to worry about. These phaser strips are going to go bye-bye. I made copies of them, so I can put them on after. And then I need to put a tubing or something in here, or just epoxy a red and green light. Red and green, I think, is what it is, for the two lights on the end here. Run some wire through there. Yeah, so I want to get this nice and flat before I finish any more of getting this lined up here, because I can twist it a little bit here and there. So that's my plan for tonight. Alright, so here's what I got. I got me a little gauge. Check the gauge on that side. Both sides looking good. Pretty close. Put it out on my piece of wood. Measured point to point. It's like 25.8 millimeters. Got my piece of wood cut. I had to cut this little divot here because this is going to get in the way. So it's pretty close. Close enough anyway to bend it. It is aluminum, so I'm hoping it'll bend pretty easy. Here we go. Alright, I've kind of beat the hell out of this thing, and that's as close as I've gotten. I'm tempted to heat it up See if it'll get me any better, but I think I can, I'm going to probably want to do some modifications or some tweaking by hand anyway, so. But that at least gives me a good start. I put a center line here, pretty lined up with the center of that. And then I got the bend started where it needs to start. So if I need to tweak this a little bit more, once I get it this cut out, I can do that. Okay, I did it. I cut it all apart. Yeah, this was a little scary, maybe a little ballsy. But that is the section I cut out. Garbage. Not very strong, even with the brass in it. Not very strong. It bends. So this is what I got. Had all this set up. Set with the lower fuselage, or the lower fuselage. I say fuselage because I built a lot of airplanes. So had the lower hull set up and screwed in. Got this set exactly where it needs to go. Had some cutting to do, some extra cutting here and there. And I know I'm going to have to do some shaping, but basically now my armature goes all the way straight through here. And then it goes up to the pylons. And I've got some stuff holding this tight. I got the bend in it pretty good. This aluminum is thinner than the thickness this is going to be. And if this ends up a little thicker, then it's not a big deal. I can deal with it. My most important thing right now is to make sure my wiring isn't crazy bulging out, because when I go to sand this, I don't need to be sanding through wiring. So I have probably too many wires here. I have a ground and a power for three different things. The Bussards, the nacelle, the warp nacelle, and then the blink. Really, if I had to, I could just get away with 2 wires and just run them all in one. If I decide to do them all separate, then I can do them all separate. Now, also, I could share grounds too. So I got extra wires. That's fine. I'm good with that. I am going to go along and tack the stuff that's sticking up, tack it down with a little CA, and then spot in some 15-minute epoxy along this area. And then cross my fingers. I hope epoxy's going to go on here. Maybe I should use JB Weld. Probably should use JB Weld. Yeah. I should be using JB Weld. So, I will JB Weld this and see if I get that done tonight. One final update for the night. I decided JB Weld was the smart choice. So, we will see what this looks like tomorrow. I may or may not show this video, but the wire I got out of a Cat 5 cable. As you know, I'm Dutch and I'm cheap, so and it's nicely color coded, so why not? So that's where I'm going to end it for tonight. See you tomorrow. Alright, we're on Wednesday. Got this this morning. I couldn't resist. I had to pull it off. Got this to do still. Obviously, you got to scuff that up a little bit. Make sure these wires aren't going to be in the way. Fill in the holes. See if I can get it on this piece. So I'm going to probably tack this piece in with a little bit of CA. And then turn it over and start JB welding the other side. Let that dry overnight. And then maybe I'll get lucky and I can start kind of working on some nacelles. And I got lots of stuff to do. So yeah. Super happy. Alright, I'm done making a mess for the night. I got all my little patchy holes. I got this section glued on. from the bottom. Oh, I gotta sit down. And it's super messy. And I will get it ground out tomorrow. And then I will work on fitting these nacelles, which I got rough grinded. And then I got a slot in there so that I can fit that on that. I'm going to have to bend this. I'm going to bend this piece of aluminum just a little bit here and there to get it to fit in there nice and straight. And then shove those wires up there too. And then I'll have it all fed in through that. And then I can work on kind of getting this ready to go. And then I got this cleaned up as well. I don't know where all this gunk came from on the inside. I gotta get that cleaned out somehow. And then originally I was talking about this weird shape on the inside. When you light that up, that's going to show. I don't like that. That's what I'm going to fill with epoxy to right about, well, I'm going to have to end up filling it. So right there, solid. But I got to get that shit cleaned out of there. I'll just keep groutering it out until I get it where I want it. So, and then there you go. A nacelle. Come on, stay there. A nacelle. And then I'd love it. I'd love it if I could figure out how to get something that goes in here, like a bar. Not this bar, but like a bar that goes in there. Probably make, I don't know, a piece of wood or something. No, I don't know. Anyway, feed it in there and then have this at the end of it and have it all slide out together. The shitty part is I'd have to have a lot of wire. A lot of extra wire in there, so trying to figure out a way to make the lights serviceable inside here. I just don't know if I'm going to be able to. So, probably not going to be able to. I'll probably just have to make a box in here. Wire it right here. If I ever have to pop the end off, I can pop the end off and reach the wiring. And then gut the whole thing if I ever needed to. And then put it back in. That's probably what I'll end up doing. And then it'd be nice to figure out how to put some proper alignment pins back in this. So it lines up nice. Even if they're just brass pins. So it doesn't look like I got a lot done today. But, you know, I started on these. There was a lot of grinding. A lot of picky grinding. And I have even more grinding to do tomorrow on that. So, back on Thursday. No, is it Thursday? No, it's Wednesday. Jeez Louise. Good night. Thursday night. I am bagged. 2 hours of grinding and screwing and modifying and... Oh my gosh. This is as far as I got tonight. I did mess around with this a little bit. Found out that when I did cut this, obviously, it'd be stupid of me not to think that I'm going to not have any issues. Twisted this a little bit. So this side is up a little. So this is kind of twisted that way. I'm just going to have to sculpt it and get it as close as I can. This nacelle fit on here pretty good. This one over here was drooped way down, so I have a whole bunch of JB weld that I will have to build up. I ended up cutting off the tabs that go on the top of here. Get this shit all over me. The tabs that originally were built into the kit so that this fits in there nice. I'll just use the metal tab that I have. And maybe I'll rebuild a tab. I don't know. We'll see. So, but, you know, at least I know this is strong. If I get the nacelle to fit nice and good on this, and I probably will still like to paint this separately without the nacelles on it, but make sure that they fit nice, and I'll get the nacelles fully painted and basically just run the wire up to the front, and well, I'll get all of this nacelle painted except for like have the front part separate, but the two halves closed together with the wiring coming out of it. And then once it's painted, I think I can get the nacelle cap to fit on there without any touch-up. And then if I have to do a little touch-up where this seam is here to the hull, then I'll do that. That's fine. It's not a big deal. But yeah, I'm bagged for the night. Got this saucer fitting to the point where this does screw down, and it didn't quite do what I was hoping, and I kind of figured it wouldn't. So none of this is glued. Because this is fiberglass, and it is pretty warped. I've got a little gap here. That is so good. The original plan is to, paint the 3 sections, 5 sections, 5 sub-assemblies. Each engine, the main hull with the bottom section of this and the top section of the secondary hull, and then this piece, and then that piece. All separate. Final assembly will be involved in screwing this down, putting a bead of paintable silicone. If I can find a black paintable silicone, great. And then, essentially once it's screwed down, that's the smallest gap. Well, that's one of the biggest gaps. And then this gap over here is pretty sizable. I may be able to do some grinding inside of there to assist that a little better, but essentially it's because these parts are fiberglass and they're warped. So the only thing that would have fixed it is if when they were laid up nice and flat on a nice hard fiberglass mold, and he had put some kind of metal strip in the part and then let it cure good before pulling it out. But that is not the way that it's happened. It is garage kit, and it is what it is. So the whole front edge is really good. It does seem like it has a little bit of a wow in it that I can't do anything about. So, but this is all good. The front is good. That's important. That little back section. This section right here actually looks like it's slightly flat. So could I mess with it? Could I crown it a little with some metal? I could, but I'm not going to. So that's where I'm at with that. Next few things to do are going to be... Come on. Anyway, I'm going to put a little shelf in here, stepped down slightly for the thickness of this. I'm just going to glue a piece of plexi, shape a piece of plexi right here, so that when this goes on top of this, it kind of bows this, or basically makes this as flush as I can get with this. I almost guarantee you I'm going to have to grind some of this down. I already made a mold of that because I can almost promise you I'm going to have to end up shaping this in. I'm going to shape it all in before it gets glued. It's going to be ready to go. I'm not going to have to do... I don't want to have to do a whole bunch of touch-ups after it's assembled. I just don't want to. So that's it for now. I don't know if I'll get any work done on Friday. I got people coming over, and I'm getting ready for the Seattle Model Show. So, good night. All right, it's Friday night. I got a little bit of time before company comes over. I have tacked the secondary hull to the neck, and I've got this screwed in and clamped, and I'm trying to get the saucer on here. I got the saucer taped up where the joint is because I would like to get this shaped in a little better on here, right up against here before I officially glue it. Because I'm hoping it'll end up being easier to get this in line. So, and then of course I had a thought on these pylons, what I should have done. If anybody else does these pylons like I did, when I had this all clamped to the board, what I should have done was I should have put a fucking nacelle on here so it would keep everything lined up. But I can't go back now, so I gotta deal with trying to level this damn thing. So, but that's okay. I still stand by my decision. I'm happy that I have this much support back here, and I still stand by the decision of taking all the detail out so I can make this nice and flat and I don't have to worry about going around lumps and bumps and shit. So I'm gonna get this sucker screwed together and flipped over, yep. And then I'm going to mix up some 15-minute epoxy. Okay, well, there it is, all screwed together. And I made one little mistake. All of this is taped so that if I get, if I goop epoxy down in here, it's up against tape, it'll peel, it'll peel, it'll peel. Even here is not a big deal. Right here, if I put epoxy in there now, I'm going to end up welding this sucker to my bar, and I do not want that because I want this to be removable until I get the entire thing light blocked. So I get to take it back apart. Stay tuned. Alright, this gets me excited. I just had to put it up on the stand. And I know my stand is pitched up a little bit, but believe you me, once I get all that weight on there, that thing is going to want to droop down. And I noticed I was watching Lou's videos again, the Aztec dummy, and it drives me nuts that the thing is pointed down. So I'd rather have it pointed up than pointed down. So this is the most I've ever had it together, with the exception of putting the top on, but got me some grinding ahead of me carefully around these wires too. But yeah, that is so exciting. So exciting. Anyway, so I got this all ready to pour some epoxy in. And then I will epoxy this seam. And then I don't have to worry about having tape on it all the time. So yeah, here goes. So the only thing I'll have to do after this would be to put this, once I get this figured out, put this piece on and blend this all in. But essentially, this is how my ship will be painted, with the exception of this piece right here will be off. The bar that's built in underneath will be JB welded in. So once I get this glued and get that done, I will work on next week. The plan would be to get the back side of this blacked out, and then white coated so it's got a good reflection on it. I'll start with probably this section, because if I mask a window here, I can see it easily from the inside. This section is a pain in the ass because I can mask a window from the inside, but I can't see where it goes on the other side. So I got a way. I think I'm going to figure out how to do it, but it's going to be a very general mask here and then black it out, and then that way I don't have to blast a whole bunch of black on the other side. So anyway, I'm going to take this back off the stand now and finish drooling and then get to gluing. Okay, she's glued. Kind of freaking out a little bit here because this is not level to each other, but this is the biggest section. If I can get it level, which right now it really is pretty darn close. I mean, as close as the table is. The bubble's on. The bubble's on the right a little bit, and then here the bubble's way right. I am off. The level is off, way off. So right now this nacelle is dipped. So because this is not completely finish mounted, I think my plan is going to be, once I have this attached to this and I get it on a nice level surface, I'll level it out however it needs to be. I'll clamp it down probably, and then I will put something in the back so that I can tweak that, and basically while I'm gluing it with JB Weld up against this, I just got stuff on my finger. Anyway, I think that's the best way for me to fix it. I got to make sure that the stand is level at the same time, so I'll just stick the stand out. Just trying to get it level this way. The other way is where it's going to be. I can't change that at all now, so it's actually pitched up slightly. This is pitched up slightly from level, from the sand, and then the saucer is actually pitched up slightly more just because I know there's gravity. There's gravity on Earth instead of in space. There's no gravity. So anyway, so I've kind of compensated for that, I hope. Now I just need to get these things level, and you can clearly see that that is not level. So the nice thing about epoxy is it does move a little. Same with aluminum, it does move a little. So, but JB Weld is pretty stiff stuff. So I think that's my plan. I'll get it twisted, and that'll be when I finalize this glue joint. And I may bend the metal just a little bit beforehand so I don't have to tweak it so much. But I need to walk away from this, or I'm going to start fiddling with shit and screwing it up. But the plan is, once this is hard, this will come off, and then I can clean this edge up without having to worry about sanding over detail on this side. I pretty easily should be able to stay away from this detail. And then put it back together, and it should be hopefully a really nice seam. And if it needs a little bit of cleanup with a little bit of putty, that's not a big deal, but I got most of the gap filled, so that's what I'm going to leave it. Alright, back in the shop. It's Sunday. I'll probably end the video here. And I ended up getting this pulled off, and I didn't like the way the join was. I don't know if it shrunk or if it was because of the thickness of the tape. So I stuck it straight on here with some putty, some Tamiya putty. And I'm going to sand it down and see what it looks like here in a second. In case you're wondering what that noise is in the background. Here, let me turn these lights off. This is my TOS Enterprise that I built about 3 years ago. And, oh yeah, it looks like the dish does still light up blue slightly. And I learned my lesson. I took this to the Seattle show, and I assumed that they would have a way to plug it in, and they did not. So I picked up this camping 12 volts or 110 volt battery pack. It has been going for about the equivalent of about an hour and 30 minutes. and it's down to 60%. Now I know this thing has motors and blinkies and all sorts of stuff, so this is pretty close to the equivalent of what I'm gonna have. So when I do get this done, not if, I'm not gonna say if, when I get this done and I take it to the show, or when I get this done and take it to the show, I will have that battery pack, and I'll just have to check on it every 3 hours. So once I get this done, I will do a full burn on it with the battery pack and see how long it lasts, and then I'll just time it. So there's that over there, there's that over there, there's stuff over there. Went to the Seattle show, took a young man out. He got a second place first time out, which was awesome. And there's me. Got me a F4E Tamiya, which is a really hard kit to find, and I got a P47 trumpeter. So got that for our local model group, like about 5-6 guys. In January we'll have a competition, and I don't build small stuff. They all know it. They all make fun of me, but I like 32nd scale stuff and big starships. So that'll be it for, well, yeah, that's probably going to be it for this episode, and we'll see you next time. Alright, so this will be the wrap-up video. It's the end of the week, Sunday, back to work tomorrow, and I managed to get a little bit of work in this afternoon after doing going to church, getting yard work done. Spent 3 hours in the yard. Spent another hour and a half doing another project. My shoulders are killing me, so I took a little break. Figured I'd finish up this video. I'll post it and be there for Monday morning. So yeah, very happy with the progress. I've got a lot more to do. I might have about a half an hour before the wife is done with her school, and I may end up just going for it and epoxying this section to the lower saucer. Just get it done, get it over with. I'm pretty happy with the seam here. It's not perfect, but the rest I'm just going to have to deal with after the fact. I mean, it's a garage kit. What do you expect? So I may do that. I may not. This is the farthest I've had this kit together thus far. I've got a lot of work to get this all to fit just the way I want it. This is actually the easier nacelle. This one over here, I cut it short, so I'm gonna have to build it back up. So that's what she looks like head on. It's a little tipsy, but as you can see, I do purposely have it so it's kind of at an uphill pitch, so the stand will be about like that, as that level, nice and level like that. So this sucker is heavy. It wants to nose over. She's a ample front end loader. So love it. Love the design. I'm really happy with the way it's coming. And I got a few little things to do here. I even got the deflector dish fits really good, or the deflector housing fits really good. I'm really happy with how that's fitting. Not quite so happy with the way these are fitting, but I do have extra wires in there. I've got 6 wires. I really technically only need 3. So if I lose continuity in a wire because I ground through it trying to get the shape right, then it is what it is. So hopefully by the end of next week, I will have pretty much everything set in stone, where it needs to go, even maybe started on masking windows. I'll start with this section. I got to get those 2 screws here and a tab, and I got to grind this down a little. It's got a little step. And then I got this section. I believe it is tweaked a little bit. It's not quite level with this, so it's aluminum. I'm going to tweak it a little, and then when I glue the armature in, like I said on a previous video, or on this video, I will force it to where it needs to be. So yeah, super happy. We'll see you next week.